to Kit Guru. You are here with me, Christina, and we are taking a seat with Noblechairs to look over their Epic TX gaming chair, coming in with an RRP of $329.99. Let's see if we will be sitting pretty or not. But first, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because it supports us for free and we love you for it. So first off, let's dive in with the packaging. I just wanted to say how well this thing was packaged. There really was no room for wiggle at all and nothing came out of the box damaged, which is a massive positive straight away. I also love how you get a little accessory box. This keeps all those smaller bits together and means you won't have to go box diving to find anything. It is recommended that 2 people construct this, but in typical Kit Guru fashion, I'm going to give it a bash all by myself. The first step was to get the base out and attach the piston plate. The chair parts are pretty light and I can move most of them with one hand, which is a welcome bonus, as most chairs I struggle to maneuver and lift with both hands. The piston itself is pretty heavy and probably the heaviest part, to be honest, but this is to be expected and not really a downside for me. The packaging on the nuts and tools was really easy to get into and I didn't need any kind of knife or force to get into them. Also, there is no real way of mistaking parts despite the lack of labelling on the manual. The manual itself is also really easy to follow and I love the size of it. Also, I have to mention that the quality of the Allen key tool is really good and I actually kept it to add to my toolbox, whereas normally they round off and are discarded after use. The one slightly annoying thing about the tool is the fact that it isn't double-ended and this forces you to use the long side, which can mean many more turns than if you were to use the other side. However, using it this way does mean that I could get a better grip and purchase on the tool and more force behind it to really tighten up those bolts. So, swings and roundabouts, I guess. Whilst following the first step and turning the chair over, you can see that the arm brackets are set to the narrowest setting. This can be adjusted out for larger people, but for me, it was absolutely what I wanted to see as I'm pretty small and often even small chairs aren't small enough for me, so this was one less thing I had to do. The next step is to put wheels on the base stand. This is usually the worst step for me. You end up pushing really hard and missing and scuffing your hands or slipping off entirely. But honestly, these wheels were the best I've ever had. I actually said that when making this thing. These wheels are the best I ever had. They just slid in so easily and there was no need to push really hard or waiting for that click or anything. They just smoothly go in and are really secure instantly. Also, just to add in, these wheels really work well on my carpet, and considering that we live in a reconditioned mill, which things aren't always level, it worked really well. Next, I put the piston in the base as instructed, and this was very easy to do with no issues. Next, I lifted the chair onto the piston, again extremely easy. The whole process of lining this up was made so much simpler with it not being so heavy, and this was so much easier to lift and maneuver. Next is to undo the bolts that were pre-installed onto the back of the chair. The manual said to lift the lever mechanism on the chair base to activate the backrest brackets to tilt forward. It does expressively say how to do this safely, but still very scary and potentially dangerous. I can see why they did this, as the bracket was at a weird angle, and this way you can align the backrest onto the base and screw it in easier. Again, I really must stress how this backrest is super light. It's really refreshing, as usually they're really heavy. The backrest was, I don't know, a little hard to install by myself, and there is a risk of cross-threading the screws, so I definitely agree with Noblechairs that you would be much better off with 2 people for the installation of this bit. I forgot to put the paddles on the levers underneath as I overlooked this step in the manual. Whoops! It was only when I was like, well, when are we putting these on, that I had to like kind of go back through the manual, but there we go. But this is not an issue, as I just put them on at that point anyway, and you just put them pointing forwards as suggested by the manual. Next, I put caps on the sides, again very easy to put on. Also, just to mention, the chair came with 1 spare bolt and screw of each type just in case one was lost or damaged. Nice thing to see. One odd thing at this stage was that there were no screw cap covers to hide these screw holes, but then looking at the other Noblechairs, this is kind of a running theme and potentially a design choice, so this is kind of a preference thing. I think it looks fine though, to be honest. Just not really what I'm used to seeing, those bare screw heads. Next, I put cushions on. There is a harness lumbar support pillow, which is really good as loose ones kind of are really annoying. The lumbar pillow is much firmer than the headrest, and also the headrest, wait, drum roll, is in the right place for me. Yes, thank you so much. Can you believe this? If you have followed me here on Kit Guru, you will know just how upset I have been that no one has nailed this for someone of my stature. And Noblechairs, hats off to you, because you're the ones that have done it. So thank you so much for that. I can actually look at that. That's me laying on my pillow right there. So once I built the chair, I just had to have a go on it. But before we jump into comfort, I just wanted to take your eyes on a journey. The stitching on this chair is really well done and neat, and the fabric is so lovely and soft. This is different from the usual Epic, Hero and Icon ranges that are currently in the range. It isn't a whole new chair shape design as such, but it certainly adds option to the range. They really have made a real effort to make this chair look premium, and it really doesn't scream gamer at all, which I personally really like. The muted colours will go with most setups, including mine, which is mostly pink, but I've also got Razor stuff, which is pink and grey, so it goes really well. However, I was really excited to see those silver metal holes in the back seat, except they aren't metal, they're plastic, but they used a really nice plastic. You can barely tell that it's plastic at all. I can forgive this not being metal as well because I appreciate how light this chair is in general, and I'd rather that than loads of metal detailing weighing it down anyway. I'm sad to say that yet again the arms on this chair are really hard. I will say this until someone takes notice. When will you include some sort of either replacement or removable armrest padding? My sensitive elbows need love too. However, my bottom and back are very comfortable. The seat of the chair is incredibly comfortable, and it is soft without being too soft and therefore being prone to sagging and stuff like that in the future. The actual chair itself, including the backrest, is also pretty squidgy too, which gives the whole chair a much more comforting and soft vibe. I'm also really happy, as previously stated, that the head pillow is in the right place, which supports me, and that's a really massive plus for me personally. Another comfort thing I would like to mention is laying down. Now, I never have really understood what on earth you would want to lay down on the job for, and how on earth it could be comfortable, let alone practical, to do so. However, this chair, the Epic TX by Noblechairs, has yet again broken through one of my pet peeves with gaming chairs, because I can honestly say I never want to sit up straight again. This chair makes lying down on the job practical and comfortable. Those are words I never thought that would come out of my mouth. The chair doesn't lay completely flat, and I think this is the main reason as to why it is so comfortable as well, because they have got it just right on the level of lean here, along with the lumbar and head support pillow makes that angle ideal and comfortable. Also, the contour of the chair itself means that when you do lay down, your arms are perfectly supported too. Even after sitting on this Epic TX chair for hours, I didn't get any aches or pains, and I could sit with correct posture as well. So this chair is absolutely correct for me. I'm around 5'5" and roughly about 130 pounds. So if you are around that, this chair is for you. That's all I can say. It does say that it's designed for users up to 265 pounds though, so look at that as well if you're around that size. I previously reviewed the Hero Doom Edition chair, which you can check out here on Kit Guru too, and despite it being aimed at people of a different stature than myself, I did find that the whole chair was just so firm that it was really uncomfortable, and it really just didn't hit the spot for me. The Doom chair has a totally different feel due to it being pleather and the fact that it really isn't that well padded too. You can feel that the body of the chair, not just the seat of the Epic TX, is a much softer upholstery. So going back to our chair, in terms of functionality, we have adjustable 4D armrests which allow forward and backward adjustment using the small button at the front of the armrest, up and down, so height adjustment using the mini lever on the outside of the armrest, and finally we have the outward and inward adjustment. Now, I left this till last on purpose because it is a little bit of a fiddly and janky mechanism, and it's the one thing that let this chair down, to be honest. I felt that the back and forward motion was a little bit stiff at first, but the in and out adjustment just is in a weird place, and I found personally that it was pretty difficult to get a purchase on there well enough, at least, to fully depress the button. I don't have very strong hands though, and my thumb isn't terribly long, so those of you with higher hand strength and longer thumbs might not find this as much of an issue as myself, but I really did. We also have height adjustment, which you can access using the right hand side flappy paddle. Also, there is a rocker mechanism which you can change using the underneath adjustment knob with an 11 degree of movement on the rocker mechanism, which can be locked using the left hand side flappy paddle too. Also, the backrest goes from 90 degrees to 135 degrees. All of the adjusters here were really easy to use and in perfect position and reachability for me. I wasn't bent over too far or reaching around the armrest too much to get them, and this is a real plus for me, as I often find that there is a little bit of a struggle, at least with one of them, but not for me this time. In conclusion, this is no word of a lie. This is my favourite chair so far, and it's definitely worth its price of $329.99. The build was so simple, and the weight of the chair made the lifting and construction so much easier. I can't believe that I've finally found a chair that fits me in terms of the headrest placement and lumbar placement, as well as making laying down an actual viable option for me. The quality is amazing too in terms of the fabric, stitching and details. I really struggled to find anything that could make me not buy this chair, and yes, there are some small gripes with the side button and stuff like that, but nothing that I couldn't put up with for such a brilliant chair. And I've tried Noblechairs before, and honestly, this tops them all. This has to get a must-buy rating from Kit Guru, as it really is the best build, comfort and aesthetic experience I have ever had, and that is no exaggeration. Obviously, buying and using a chair is a very personal thing, and I appreciate that. What works for one may not work for another, so let us know down in the comments what you think, and whilst you're there, make sure that you check out our merch, and if you want more tech news, check out our website daily. This is Kit Guru, I'm Christina, signing off.